Most people misunderstand this moment. They think being stuck means they are behind. They think it means they lack talent, luck, or ability. They think it means life is refusing to move for them. But the truth is far more direct. Feeling stuck is not always a sign that you are losing. It is often a sign that something inside you is refusing to change. And what you call stuck is actually friction between who you have been and who you must become. Resistance is subtle. It doesn't always look like laziness. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it looks like planning endlessly but never starting. Sometimes it looks like doing everything except the one thing that would actually move you forward. Resistance can even look like hard work because you are busy, but you are not progressing. You are active, but not aligned. You are moving, but not in the direction that challenges your identity. And because you are not doing the uncomfortable thing, you remain in the same place. Not because you cannot leave, but because you keep choosing what feels safe. There is a reason you resist. Resistance is not random. Resistance is your mind trying to protect you from discomfort. The mind does not care about your purpose. The mind cares about survival. The mind wants certainty. The mind wants predictable outcomes. The mind wants familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. This is why people stay in situations that drain them. This is why people stay in relationships that shrink them. This is why people stay in routines that keep them small. Because at least it is known. At least it is familiar. At least it feels controllable. Growth threatens control. Growth demands risk. Growth demands that you step into a version of life where you cannot guarantee the outcome. And the mind hates that. So when you feel stuck, it is often because you are standing at the edge of growth. You are facing the next step. You know what it is. You do. Deep inside, you know exactly what you need to do. The problem is not that you lack knowledge. The problem is that the next step costs you comfort. The next step costs you excuses. The next step costs you the old identity that you have been hiding behind. And the moment your comfort is threatened, your resistance increases. Resistance makes you delay. It makes you say, I will start tomorrow. It makes you say, I need more time. It makes you say, I'm not ready yet. But listen carefully. Readiness is not a requirement. Readiness is a reward you feel after you begin. Nobody feels ready before the discipline is built. Nobody feels confident before the repetitions are done. Nobody feels strong before they've carried weight. People want the feeling first. They want motivation first. They want clarity first. They want certainty first. But life doesn't work like that. Life gives you the chance to act, and your feelings follow your actions. So when you feel stuck, do not insult yourself by calling it failure. Failure is giving up. Failure is refusing to learn. Failure is repeating the same behavior while expecting a different outcome. Feeling stuck is different. Feeling stuck is the signal that something is being challenged. It means you are at the gate. It means the old methods are no longer working, but the new methods have not yet been accepted by your body, your habits, your mind. You are in the middle, and the middle feels like nothing is happening. But the middle is where most transformation takes place. Think of a seed under the soil. For days, you see nothing. Above the ground, it looks dead. It looks like nothing is changing. It looks like the effort is pointless. But under the surface, everything is happening. Roots are forming. Structure is being built. Strength is being developed. The seed is not stuck. The seed is preparing. And preparation is invisible until it becomes undeniable. The same is true for you. When you feel stuck, it might not be that life is blocking you. It might be that life is asking you to become stronger before it gives you more. Because more responsibility requires more stability. More success requires more discipline. More freedom requires more self-control. And if you are not stable, the things you ask for will not help you. They will harm you. Many people want bigger opportunities, but they have not mastered their emotions. Many people want more money, but they have not mastered their habits. Many people want better relationships, but they have not mastered their boundaries. Life knows this. So it tests you before it trusts you. The resistance usually appears in one of three forms. The first is resistance to effort. You want results, but you resist consistent work. You want change, but you resist repeating boring actions daily. The second is resistance to discomfort. You want growth, but you resist being seen starting from the bottom. You resist embarrassment. You resist rejection. You resist failure. The third is resistance to identity. You want to evolve, but you keep holding onto the version of yourself that feels familiar. even if that version is suffering, even if that version is unhappy, even if that version is stuck in cycles. Because letting go of identity feels like death, and that is why people cling to it. But understand this: if you do not outgrow your identity, your life cannot outgrow its limitations. Your results will always match the version of you that creates them. And if you remain the same, you will repeat the same outcomes. Different days, same story. That is why the feeling of being stuck can be a gift, because it is a moment of truth. It is life revealing that you have reached the limit of your current mindset. You can no longer escape. You can no longer distract yourself with shallow progress. You must confront what needs to change. So what do? You stop making the feeling your authority. Feeling stuck is not a command. It is a sensation. It is a temporary state. It is not who you are. You do not obey it. You observe it. You ask, what am I resisting? Because the answer will show you the exact door you need to walk through. Are you resisting discipline? Then your path is consistency. Are you resisting responsibility? Then your path is ownership. Are you resisting letting go of someone? Then your path is self-respect. Are you resisting starting because you fear judgment? Then your path is courage. The mind will always try to convince you to stay the same. It will create stories. It will create excuses that sound intelligent. It will say, wait until conditions are perfect. It will say, you need more information. It will say, you should heal first. But healing does not mean hiding from challenge. Healing does not mean doing nothing. Healing often requires action. Healing often requires structure. Healing often requires building a new life while the pain still exists. Sometimes you are not stuck. You are simply unwilling to let the old version of you die. And that is the real resistance. You keep returning to what you know, even if it is destroying you. You keep choosing short-term comfort over long-term freedom. But freedom is earned through discomfort. Freedom is earned through self-control. Freedom is earned through doing what is right even when you do not feel like it. So do not treat resistance as an enemy. Treat it as a compass. Resistance points to the exact area where your growth is waiting. The harder you resist something, the more likely it is that it matters. The more you avoid it, the more important it is. The more you delay it, the more powerful it becomes once you face it. You don't need a dramatic breakthrough. You need a daily decision. The stuck feeling is loud, but it is not permanent. The moment you take action, it begins to fade. The moment you stop negotiating with your weakness, your power returns. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you become stronger than the obstacle. And when you become stronger, the path that once felt blocked starts to open because it was never truly blocked. It was simply demanding that you rise to meet it. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because the mind hates waiting. The mind wants movement. It wants quick results. It wants clear proof that the effort is working. And when that proof doesn't show up on time, doubt begins to speak. Frustration begins to rise. You start asking questions that weaken your spirit. Why is this taking so long? Why is nothing happening? Maybe this is not for me. But delays are not always denial. Many delays are preparation. Many delays are protection. Many delays are the training ground where discipline becomes real. Discipline is not proven when things are exciting. Discipline is proven when things are slow. It is easy to stay committed when you feel progress every day. It is easy to stay focused when rewards arrive quickly. Anyone can work hard for a week when motivation is high. But when the days become repetitive, when the results become invisible, when the timeline extends beyond what your ego can tolerate, that is when discipline is forged. Not in the celebration, but in the silence. Not in the applause, but in the waiting. A delay reveals what you are truly dependent on. Many people believe they are disciplined, but they are only inspired. They believe they are committed, but they are only comfortable. They show up as long as the world gives them signals, as long as they get attention, as long as they see immediate improvement. But the moment the process becomes slow and lonely, they collapse. The moment they stop receiving validation, they lose direction. This is why delay is a test. It removes the external rewards so you can build internal strength. When life delays you, it is asking a direct question: can you keep going without proof? Can you continue without immediate feedback? Can you stay consistent when nobody sees what you are doing? Because the world does not reward potential. It rewards endurance. It rewards the person who does not stop when it becomes boring, painful, or uncertain. Delay is training you to become that person. It is shaping your consistency. It is sharpening your self-control. It is teaching you to stop relying on excitement and start relying on standards. The delay also reveals your relationship with time. Many people are not impatient because they are busy. They are impatient because they are afraid. They are afraid that if it takes longer, it means they are failing. They are afraid that if progress is slow, they are wasting their life. They are afraid that if they don't get it now, they will never get it. So they rush, they chase shortcuts. They abandon the process and jump into another one. And by doing that, they create a life of constant starting but never finishing. But delay is not your enemy. Delay is a mirror. It shows you the places where your faith is weak. It shows you the places where you still want control. It shows you the places where you don't trust your own ability to persist. If you cannot wait without spiraling, you are not free. You are controlled by outcomes. You are controlled by timelines. You are controlled by the fear of being left behind. But discipline is the ability to stay anchored while life is moving slowly. You must understand something important. Growth is often delayed because you are still becoming capable of holding it. You want the reward, but you may not yet have the structure to keep it. You want success, but you may not yet have the mindset to handle it. You want love, but you may not yet have the boundaries to protect it. You want money, but you may not yet have the habits to manage it. So the delay is not punishment. It is training. Life is building your capacity. Imagine giving someone a heavy weight before their body is conditioned. It will not strengthen them. It will injure them. The same is true for blessings. If life gives you what you want before you have the discipline to maintain it, it will not elevate you. It will expose you. It will overwhelm you. It will become another burden you cannot carry. So the delay becomes mercy. It becomes preparation. It becomes a period where you develop the strength required for what you are asking for. Discipline is not just about doing more. Discipline is also about waiting correctly. People think waiting is passive. It is not. Waiting can be a powerful act of control. Waiting means you are not desperate. Waiting means you are not rushing into anything just to feel relief. Waiting means you can tolerate discomfort without reacting impulsively. Waiting means your nervous system is trained. Waiting means you have patience that does not break under pressure. And that is what delay trains in you. It trains your nervous system to stay calm. It trains your mind to stop panicking. It trains your habits to stay consistent. Because the person who can stay consistent during delay will outperform everyone who only performs when life feels good. This is the difference between people who succeed and people who start over endlessly. Successful people do not always have more talent. They have more endurance. They stay when others leave. They continue when others quit. They remain faithful to the process when the outcome is not guaranteed. Delay also teaches humility. It teaches you that your timeline is not the timeline of life. You can work hard and still not control when things bloom. You can do everything right and still face waiting. And this is important because it breaks the illusion that you are entitled to instant results. It makes you mature. It makes you steady. It makes you stronger. And a steady person cannot be easily shaken. A mature person cannot be easily manipulated. A disciplined person cannot be easily distracted. Many people break in delay because they interpret it as rejection. They interpret silence as failure. They interpret slow progress as proof they are not good enough. But delay is often proof that something important is being built. Anything valuable takes time. Anything lasting takes repetition. Anything meaningful requires refinement. You don't become powerful by rushing. You become powerful by mastering yourself in the slow season. The slow season is where your discipline becomes independent. It no longer needs motivation. It no longer needs praise. It no longer needs excitement. It becomes a personal law. You do it because you said you would. You do it because your word matters. You do it because you respect yourself too much to be inconsistent. And when your discipline reaches that level, delay cannot destroy you anymore because you are no longer chasing results. You are practicing identity. This is why delay is one of the greatest teachers. It forces you to confront yourself. It forces you to build consistency without dopamine. It forces you to keep walking without applause. It forces you to trust the unseen. And when you learn to do that, you become unstoppable. Because if you can endure delay, you can endure anything. So stop asking, why is this taking so long? Start asking, what is this making me stronger at? Because delays do not come to waste you. They come to shape you. They come to deepen your discipline. They come to remove the weak parts of you that are still addicted to instant gratification. They come to build the part of you that can keep going when everything is quiet. The person you are becoming is not built when life gives you what you want. The person you are becoming is built when life makes you wait. In the waiting, you either complain and weaken yourself, or you train and strengthen yourself. And every time you choose to show up anyway, every time you choose to stay consistent anyway, every time you choose to stay focused anyway, you pass the test, because discipline is not built by perfect conditions. Discipline is built by delayed outcomes. Discipline is built when you learn how to keep your standard even when life is not rewarding you yet. That is real power. That is real maturity. That is real strength. And when the reward finally arrives, you will not only receive it, you will be able to keep it, because the delay has already prepared you to carry it. This is difficult for many people to accept because emotions feel real. They feel immediate. They feel convincing. When sadness rises, it feels like something is wrong with your life. When anxiety appears, it feels like danger is near. When anger burns, it feels like someone has crossed a line that cannot be forgiven. When loneliness hits, it feels like you have been abandoned. The emotion speaks loudly and the body reacts quickly. So the mind assumes, if I feel this, it must be true. But feeling something does not automatically make it fact. Feeling something does not always mean reality is against you. Sometimes it only means your nervous system is being challenged. Emotions are signals. They are messengers. They are reactions to perception. Not always reactions to truth. Your emotions respond to your thoughts, your memories, your expectations, your fears, and your interpretations of what is happening. Two people can live the same moment, and one feels calm while the other feels panic. That tells you something important. The moment itself is not the only cause. The internal lens matters. The inner world shapes the emotional experience. This is why emotions cannot be your leader. They can be your information, but they cannot be your authority. Life will test you through your emotions because emotions are the fastest way to control you. If someone can control how you feel, they can control what you do. If your emotions control you, then circumstances control you. One small problem can ruin your day. One harsh comment can ruin your confidence. One delay can ruin your discipline. One rejection can ruin your self-worth. This is weakness, not because emotions are bad, but because you are handing the steering wheel to something that changes every hour. The test is simple. Can you stay stable while your emotions fluctuate? Can you remain committed when your feelings are uncomfortable? Can you continue to act with discipline even when your emotions beg you to retreat? This is the real battlefield. Not the world outside, but the world inside. Most people lose their future because they obey temporary emotions as if they are permanent truth. Your emotions are part of the test because the path of growth will always provoke them. The moment you decide to change, fear will rise. The moment you decide to improve, doubt will appear. The moment you decide to set boundaries, guilt will attack you. The moment you decide to stop chasing validation, loneliness will scream. The moment you decide to walk away from what is familiar, your body will feel withdrawal. That discomfort is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is a sign you are leaving an old pattern behind. But most people misunderstand discomfort. They treat it like danger. They treat it like a warning to stop. And that is how they remain trapped. When you begin training your discipline, emotions will try to sabotage you. You wake up tired and your mind says, skip today. You feel stressed and your mind says, escape through comfort. You feel rejected and your mind says, beg for attention. You feel insecure and your mind says, prove yourself quickly. You feel bored and your mind says, find something easier. These emotions are not truth. They are tests. They are invitations to return to your old self. They are the mind's attempt to preserve the identity you have been living in. Understand this: the body prefers what is familiar, even if it is harmful. If you have been in chaos for years, peace will feel strange. If you have been neglected, healthy love may feel uncomfortable. If you have lived with anxiety, calmness might feel like emptiness. If you have been addicted to drama, stability might feel boring. So when you enter a better life, your emotions may not immediately celebrate. They may resist, they may feel unsettled. And this is where many people turn back. They go back to the toxic relationship, back to the bad habit, back to the self-sabotage. Because it feels familiar. They mistake familiarity for safety. They mistake intensity for love. They mistake emotion for truth. The strongest person is not the one who feels nothing. The strongest person is the one who feels everything and still chooses wisely. Emotional mastery is not emotional suppression. It is emotional clarity. It is the ability to say, I feel this, but I will not become this. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel sadness and still take action. You can feel anger and still speak with control. You can feel insecure and still keep your standards. This is maturity. This is power. This is self-leadership. One of the greatest traps is believing that emotions must be solved before you act. People say, when I feel confident, I'll start. When I feel motivated. When I feel healed, I'll set boundaries. When I feel ready, I'll leave. But this is backwards. Action creates clarity. Action creates strength. Action creates confidence. If you wait for emotions to become perfect, you will wait forever. Emotions are like weather. They change. Some days are sunny. Some days are stormy. But you cannot stop building your life because it is raining. Life is testing whether you can hold your direction when your emotions are loud. Because the world will not become gentle just because you are trying. People will still disappoint you. Delays will still happen. Criticism will still come. Uncertainty will still appear. And if your emotional state decides your behavior, you will constantly break your own promises. You will constantly start and stop. You will constantly rebuild what you keep destroying. That is exhausting. That is why people feel tired. Not because life is too hard, but because they keep restarting due to emotional instability. The truth is, emotions are often exaggerated. They feel bigger than they are because you feed them. You feed fear by imagining worst-case scenarios. You feed sadness by replaying memories. You feed anger by telling yourself stories about betrayal. You feed anxiety by trying to control what cannot be controlled. The emotion grows because attention grows it. And the test is whether you can observe the emotion without feeding it, whether you can hold space for it without becoming it. This is why stillness is important. When you sit with your emotions instead of reacting, you start to see their patterns. You start to see how predictable they are. You start to see how they rise, peak, and fall. And when you see that, you stop treating them like commands. You stop treating them like truth. You begin to treat them like waves. You don't need to fight the wave. You don't need to drown in it. You learn to ride it. There is also wisdom in your emotions, but the wisdom is not always in what they say. Sometimes the wisdom is in what they reveal. If you feel jealous, it might reveal desire. If you feel triggered, it might reveal an unhealed wound. If you feel angry, it might reveal a boundary that has been violated. If you feel anxious, it might reveal a lack of trust in yourself. But the feeling itself is not a verdict. It is a signal. And you must interpret it with awareness, not impulse. When you understand emotions as tests, you stop making them your identity. You stop saying, I am anxious. And instead you say, anxiety is present. You stop saying, I am broken. And instead you say, pain is visiting. This small shift changes everything. Because now the emotion is not who you are. It is something you experience. And what you experience can change. What you experience can be managed. What you experience can pass. The purpose of the test is to make you stronger than your moods. To make you more consistent than your feelings. To make you more loyal to your goals than your temporary cravings. This is how you become unshakable. Not by eliminating emotions, but by refusing to be ruled by them. Because if you can stay disciplined when your emotions want comfort, you become powerful. If you can stay calm when your emotions want chaos, you become free. If you can stay focused when your emotions want distraction, you become dangerous in the best way. So the next time your emotions rise and try to convince you that you are failing, pause. Don't react. Observe. Notice the story your mind is attaching to the feeling. Notice how the body tightens, how the breath changes, how the urge to escape appears. And remind yourself clearly with strength, this is part of the test. This is not the truth. The truth is what you choose. The truth is what you do. The truth is the standard you maintain even when you don't feel like it. Most people fear pressure because they think it means something is going wrong. They think pressure is a sign they are failing, a sign they are losing control, a sign they are not strong enough. But pressure is not always a warning. Sometimes pressure is confirmation. It is life showing you that you have reached the edge of who you used to be. It is the sound of an old identity cracking. It is the feeling of expansion before breakthrough. And if you understand pressure correctly, you stop running from it and start using it. Pressure appears when you are no longer able to remain the same. It shows up when your comfort zone becomes too small for your spirit. It shows up when the old ways of thinking cannot carry you forward anymore. It shows up when your old habits start to feel heavy, when your old patterns stop satisfying you, when the same cycle becomes unbearable. That discomfort is not random. It is purposeful. It is growth-demanding movement. It is life refusing to let you stay in a place you have already outgrown. Think about the moment before a transformation in nature. The sky becomes heavy before the rain. The air becomes thick before the storm clears it. The pressure builds, then release comes. The same happens in your life. When you are close to change, life becomes intense. Your emotions rise. Your fears speak louder. Your doubts try harder. Your old habits fight to survive. Your comfort tries to pull you back. Because the closer you get to freedom, the louder the resistance becomes. Not because you are weak, but because your old self senses it is about to lose control. Pressure is the weight of becoming. It is the tension between the version of you that is familiar and the version of you that is necessary. It is the space where the old you fights to remain, while the new you demands to emerge. This is why it feels uncomfortable. This is why you feel restless. This is why you feel like you are being squeezed. You are. You are being squeezed into shape. You are being shaped by life. And the shape is not meant to break you. It is meant to build you. Many people misinterpret pressure and run away. They escape into distraction. They escape into comfort. They escape into old relationships, old habits, old addictions, old excuses. They choose relief over evolution. But relief is temporary. Relief makes you feel better for a moment, and then the pressure returns stronger because the lesson is still there. The test is still there. The next version of you is still waiting. So pressure does not leave until you face it correctly. Pressure is often a sign that you have been avoiding something important. Not because you did not know what to do, but because you resisted the discomfort of doing it. Pressure builds when truth is ignored, when boundaries are not set, when you keep betraying yourself, when you keep staying silent, when you keep delaying your goals, when you keep lying to yourself about what you deserve. The pressure is life's way of forcing honesty. It pushes you into a corner so you can no longer pretend. It tightens your world until the only way out is growth. This is why pressure is proof you are close to change. Because if you were truly stuck in a dead place, you would feel numb, not pressured. You would feel empty, not challenged. Pressure means something is moving beneath the surface. It means your life is asking you to step up. It means you are being stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. And stretching is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of progress. You must understand the difference between pressure that destroys and pressure that develops. Pressure destroys when you fight it blindly. Pressure develops when you meet it with awareness and discipline. The pressure itself is not the problem. Your reaction to it is the problem. When pressure comes and you panic, you become chaotic. When pressure comes and you complain, you become drained. When pressure comes and you avoid, you become trapped. But when pressure comes and you become calm, when you become focused, when you become grounded, it turns into fuel. Because pressure exposes what you are made of. It reveals your habits. It reveals your mindset. It reveals how you respond when life is not comfortable. Anybody can be kind when they are relaxed. Anybody can be disciplined when they are motivated. Anybody can be confident when they are praised. But pressure shows you who you really are. And that is why it is a gift. It brings your weaknesses into the light so you can train them. It forces you to build strength where you have been soft. It forces you to stop relying on comfort and start relying on character. Pressure also separates the serious from the casual. Many people love the idea of change. They love the idea of becoming better. They love the idea of success and peace and confidence. But when pressure arrives, they leave. They disappear. They quit. Because they were only in love with the outcome, not the process. Pressure is the gatekeeper. It asks, are you committed or are you entertaining a fantasy? Are you ready to build or are you just dreaming? Are you willing to sacrifice or do you only want easy wins? This is why pressure increases right before breakthroughs. The closer you get to something meaningful, the more the test intensifies. Not because life is cruel, but because what you are asking for requires a stronger version of you. A weak foundation cannot hold a high building. A weak mind cannot hold a big vision. A weak nervous system cannot hold a life of responsibility. So the pressure trains you. It hardens you. It stabilizes you. It removes what is fragile. It burns away your excuses and forces you into clarity. If you are under pressure right now, it might mean you are closer than you think. It might mean your old life is collapsing because it cannot go with you into the next level. It might mean the things you tolerated before are no longer tolerable. It might mean you are reaching the point where you will finally change your habits, finally change your boundaries, finally change your standards, finally leave what is draining you. Pressure is often the final push that turns someday into no, but you must hold your posture under pressure. This is where people lose. They want the pressure to disappear, so they compromise, they settle. They beg, they chase, they break their principles just to feel relief. But pressure is not asking you to shrink. Pressure is asking you to rise, and rising requires you to keep your standards even when it hurts. Pressure is teaching you endurance. It is teaching you emotional control. It is teaching you patience. It is teaching you restraint. It is teaching you focus. It is teaching you how to stay grounded while everything inside you wants to react. That is real power. Not the power to avoid difficulty, but the power to remain stable inside difficulty. So when the pressure comes, do not say, "Why is this happening to me?" Say, "What is this preparing me for?" When the pressure comes, do not ask, "How do I escape?" Ask, "How do I become stronger?" Because pressure is not here to break you. It is here to prove you are ready. You are not being punished. You are being upgraded. The discomfort you feel is the old you struggling to survive. The tension you feel is the new you trying to be born. And the reason it feels intense is because you are close. Close to the decision. Close to the breakthrough. Close to the moment where you stop tolerating what drains you and start choosing what builds you. Most people turn back when the pressure rises. They assume pressure means stop. But disciplined people understand pressure often means continue. Continue even when it burns. Continue even when you are tired. Continue even when your mind doubts. Continue even when your heart feels heavy, because on the other side of pressure is expansion. So do not fear pressure. Respect it. Pressure is the training ground. Pressure is the proof you are being shaped into something greater than your current limits. Pressure is the sound of your old life breaking apart to make space for a new one. And if you stay steady, if you stay disciplined, if you stay committed, you will realize the pressure was never against you. It was pushing you toward the change you've been avoiding, toward the strength you've been delaying, toward the version of yourself you were always meant to become. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths in life because it removes the luxury of blaming everything outside of you. It means the cycle is not bad luck. It means the pattern is not just other people. It means the reason you keep seeing the same pain in different forms is because something inside you is still allowing it. And until that part of you rises, life will keep sending the same message in a different envelope. Most people don't realize they are living the same lesson on repeat because the details keep changing. The face changes, the place changes, the year changes, the job changes, the relationship changes, but the feeling stays the same. The outcome stays the same. The disappointment stays the same. The exhaustion stays the same. And after a while, you start thinking life is unfair. You start thinking you are cursed. You start thinking you can never escape. But the truth is simpler. You are not cursed. You are being trained. The lesson keeps coming back because you have not completed it. Not because you are stupid, but because you keep choosing comfort over change. Life is not random. It is responsive. It responds to your standards. It responds to what you tolerate. It responds to what you accept as normal. Your standards act like a gatekeeper. If your standard is low, anything can enter. If your standard is unclear, confusion will enter. If your standard depends on your mood, chaos will enter. But when your standard is strong, stable, and clear, only what matches it can remain. This is why your standard determines your life more than your desire. You can desire better all day, but if your standard stays the same results will keep coming. The lesson repeats because you keep passing opportunities to change. You keep receiving the same signal and ignoring it. You keep feeling the same pain and calling it fate. You keep noticing the same red flags and calling it hope. You keep getting the same consequences and calling it a mistake. But life is not fooled by your words. Life responds to your actions. Life responds to your consistency. If you keep choosing the same behavior, you will keep meeting the same outcome. You may ask, why does this keep happening to me? But a better question is, what part of me keeps allowing this? Because some lessons are not about what happens to you. They are about what you keep doing in response. The lesson is in your reaction. The lesson is in your boundaries. The lesson is in your discipline. The lesson is in your self-respect. The lesson is in your ability to say no, to walk away, to stay calm, to stay consistent, to stop negotiating with weakness. Think about the patterns people live in. Someone keeps attracting partners who don't commit. Another keeps falling into friendships where they are used. Another keeps ending up in jobs where they are underpaid. Another keeps starting goals and quitting halfway. Another keeps losing their peace because they keep letting the same triggers control them. Different story, same lesson. The standard is not strong enough. The standard is not being enforced. And because it is not being enforced, life keeps sending the same test. Life tests the areas where you are not disciplined. It tests the areas where you still seek validation. It tests the areas where you still fear being alone. It tests the areas where you still don't trust yourself. And because those areas remain weak, the lesson repeats. It repeats until you stop reacting like the old you. It repeats until you stop choosing the easy option. It repeats until you finally decide, this ends with me. A lesson repeating is not a curse. It is a teacher refusing to let you graduate without understanding. If you fail a class, you don't move forward. You repeat the class, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because the next level requires mastery. The next level requires strength. The next level requires a new mindset. Life works the same way. If you haven't learned to respect yourself, you will keep meeting situations that force you to learn. If you haven't learned to control your emotions, you will keep meeting situations that trigger you. If you haven't learned to be disciplined, you will keep meeting distractions that expose your weakness. Your standard is what ends the cycle, not your hope, not your prayers alone, not your intentions, your standard. Your standard is the decision you enforce even when it hurts. Your standard is the boundary you keep even when you feel lonely. Your standard is the routine you follow even when you feel tired. Your standard is the self-respect you maintain even when someone tries to manipulate you. Your standard is what you do, not what you say. This is why changing your standard feels uncomfortable. Because to raise your standard, you must lose something. You must lose comfort. You must lose familiarity. You must lose people who benefited from your weakness. You must lose the old identity that wanted to be liked more than respected. You must lose the version of you that kept tolerating pain for the sake of connection. Raising your standard is not just self-improvement. It is self-separation. It is the act of leaving what no longer matches you. Many people say they want better, but they still tolerate what hurts them. They still answer calls that drain them. They still go back to people who disrespect them. They still accept inconsistent love. They still accept half effort. They still accept excuses. They still accept being treated as an option. And then they wonder why the lesson repeats. But the lesson repeats because your tolerance is still speaking louder than your desire. Life listens to your tolerance. Life listens to what you allow. Life listens to what you keep returning to. Every time you go back, you send a message, this is acceptable. Every time you stay silent, you send a message, this is fine. Every time you shrink, you send a message, I will adjust myself to keep this. And life responds by giving you more of what you keep allowing. Raising your standard means you stop adjusting yourself for things that are not aligned. You stop begging for basics. You stop explaining your worth to people who enjoy ignoring it. You stop chasing closure from people who gave you confusion. You stop negotiating your peace for temporary attention. You stop returning to situations that damage your self-trust, because the greatest betrayal is not what others do to you. The greatest betrayal is what you keep allowing yourself to accept. And here is where the truth becomes sharp. Sometimes the lesson repeats because you keep choosing the same coping strategy. You cope by avoiding. You cope by numbing yourself. You cope by distracting yourself. You cope by overthinking. You cope by pleasing people. You cope by staying busy. But coping is not healing. Coping is delaying the lesson. Coping is staying in the same classroom. And life will keep repeating the lesson until you choose transformation over coping. To change your standard, you must become willing to feel discomfort without escaping. You must become willing to disappoint people who benefited from your low standards. You must become willing to walk alone for a while. You must become willing to be misunderstood. Because when you raise your standard, people who were comfortable with your old self will not celebrate it. Some will resist. Some will test you. Some will call you selfish. Some will try to guilt you back into the role you played. And this is part of the lesson too. The moment you raise your standard, life will test if you mean it. You say you won't tolerate disrespect anymore, and then someone will disrespect you. You say you won't chase anymore, and then someone will pull away. You say you will stay disciplined, and then a strong temptation will appear. Not to punish you, but to confirm you have changed. This is the graduation exam. Your mouth can claim anything. Your actions prove everything. When your standard truly changes, the lesson stops repeating. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you become different. You respond differently. You choose differently. You walk away sooner. You speak up sooner. You commit sooner. You detach sooner. You protect your energy. You stop explaining and start enforcing. And when your standard becomes firm, life adapts. The same situations no longer stay. The same people no longer remain. The same distractions no longer control you. Because you have become a person who cannot be played with by the old patterns. So if something keeps repeating in your life, don't ask why life is doing this. Ask what the lesson is. Ask where your standard is still low. Ask what you are still tolerating. Ask what you are still excusing. Ask where you still abandon yourself. Because the moment your standard rises, the lesson ends. Not because the world changes first, but because you do. And once you change, life has no choice but to change around you, because what you tolerate no longer has permission to stay. That is the turning point. That is the moment where suffering stops being a prison and starts becoming fuel. Because pain by itself does not make you stronger. Pain can make you bitter. Pain can make you closed. Pain can make you reactive. Pain can make you lose trust, lose hope, lose direction. Many people carry pain for years and still remain the same, still repeat the same patterns, still settle for the same disappointments. So the question is not whether you have pain. Everyone has pain. The question is what you do with it. Do you let it shape you into something smaller, or do you let it build you into something stronger? Weakness is not the pain. Weakness is what you do to escape the pain. Weakness is the habit of running back to what hurts you because it feels familiar. Weakness is choosing comfort over self-respect. Weakness is lowering your standards when you feel lonely. Weakness is begging when you should walk away. Weakness is staying quiet when you should speak. Weakness is giving your best to people who give you confusion. Weakness is holding on to someone who keeps showing you they cannot hold you. Weakness is knowing what is right and still doing what is easy. That is the weakness you must stop negotiating with. Negotiation with weakness happens when you make excuses for your own self-betrayal. You say, just this one more time. You say, I'll leave when I'm ready. You say, it's not that bad. You say, maybe they will change. You say, I don't want to be alone. These statements sound harmless, but they are agreements. They are contracts with your lower self. And every time you repeat them, you reinforce the identity that keeps you stuck. You teach yourself that your pain has authority. You teach yourself that your cravings matter more than your peace. You teach yourself that your fear is stronger than your future. Pain becomes power when you stop making deals with the part of you that wants to remain small. Because there is a part of you that will always try to pull you back. Not because it hates you, but because it fears change. It fears discomfort. It fears uncertainty. It fears losing what is familiar. That part will whisper, stay where it's safe. But safe is not always good. Safe can be stagnation. Safe can be loneliness inside a relationship. Safe can be a life where you never reach your potential because you chose predictability over possibility. And the moment you stop negotiating with that voice, everything changes. Many people think the opposite of weakness is strength, but true strength is not aggression. True strength is not pretending you are fine. True strength is not acting tough. True strength is consistency. True strength is discipline. True strength is doing what you must do even while you feel pain. That is where power is born. Because your power is not revealed when life feels easy, your power is revealed when life is heavy and you still refuse to break your standards. Pain is an invitation. It invites you to pay attention. It forces you to face what you have been avoiding. Pain is life saying, something here needs to change. Sometimes pain is the result of your own choices. Sometimes pain is the result of someone else's actions. But no matter where it comes from, it gives you a decision. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it develop you. And development begins the moment you stop using pain as an excuse to return to weakness. Weakness wants immediate relief. Power wants long-term freedom. Weakness says, do whatever feels good right now. Power says, do what builds you even if it hurts. Weakness says, text them so you don't feel lonely. Power says, stay silent so you don't lose your self-respect. Weakness says, skip today because you're tired. Power says, show up anyway because your future needs you. Weakness says, eat, scroll, drink, distract yourself. Power says, sit with the discomfort and let it train you. This is the difference. This is where pain becomes a weapon for your growth instead of a cage for your emotions. Most people don't realize they are addicted to weakness. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they enjoy the patterns that come with it. The attention, the drama, the excuses, the comfort of being the victim, the comfort of saying, this is happening to me, instead of saying, I am choosing differently now. Weakness can feel easier because it removes responsibility. It lets you blame the world. It lets you blame people. It lets you blame timing. But power begins when you take ownership. Power begins when you say, it ends here. Power begins when you stop using pain as permission to remain untrained. Your pain becomes power when you stop feeding it with the same behaviors that created it. Some people are in pain because they keep going back to the same person. Some people are in pain because they keep abandoning their goals. Some people are in pain because they keep tolerating disrespect. Some people are in pain because they keep delaying their healing. And then they say, why am I still hurting? Because the source is still alive. Because you keep giving it access. Because you keep keeping the door open. Pain will not disappear if you keep watering it. When you stop negotiating with weakness, you start building self-trust. And self-trust is everything. Because the deepest pain is not always what someone did to you. The deepest pain is when you know you deserved better and you didn't protect yourself. The deepest pain is when you knew you should leave and you stayed. When you knew you should speak and you stayed silent. When you knew you should be disciplined and you chose comfort. That creates shame. That creates inner conflict. That creates a war inside. But when you stop negotiating, you end the war. You begin to respect yourself again. You begin to trust yourself again. And trust in yourself is a power that changes everything. Pain also becomes power when you allow it to refine you instead of harden you. Refinement means you learn. You adjust. You elevate your standards. You become more selective. You become more aware. You stop giving your energy to what drains you. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen. You stop chasing what is not meant for you. You stop trying to convince someone to see your worth. Because when you know your worth, you don't argue. You move. Stopping negotiation does not mean you become cold. It means you become clear. It means you stop confusing love with suffering. You stop confusing loyalty with self-sacrifice. You stop confusing patience with tolerance. You stop confusing attachment with destiny. You become clear about what you accept and what you refuse. You become clear about the kind of life you are building. And that clarity gives you strength because confusion is weakness. Confusion makes you vulnerable. Confusion makes you chase. Confusion makes you settle, but clarity makes you powerful. Clarity makes your decisions sharp. And here is the truth. Your weakness will always ask for one more chance, one more excuse, one more delay, one more return to the past. It will promise you comfort, but it will steal your future. It will promise you relief, but it will keep you trapped. It will promise you connection, but it will cost you your dignity. So you must become someone who no longer bargains with the part of you that wants to stay small. Pain is not meant to be carried forever. It is meant to be used. Used to build discipline. Used to build boundaries. Used to build courage. Used to build independence. Used to build focus. Used to build a stronger mind. And when you use your pain correctly, it stops being something that happened to you and starts becoming something that built you. So stop negotiating. Stop giving weakness permission to sit at the table of your life. Stop allowing the old version of you to keep voting on your decisions. Choose the standard. Choose the discipline. Choose the silence. Choose the growth. Choose the long-term freedom. Because the moment you stop negotiating with weakness is the moment your pain stops controlling you and starts empowering you.